How did you come to write this play?
Out of necessity, because my wife had somehow got a title out of me and an idea out of me, and then next thing I know she's booked a tour and dates and says she needs a play by November, and so to save my marriage and my professional dignity, I had to write a play.
And a ghost story?
A ghost story because I'd never written a ghost story before, and when you try to come up with an idea, you cast your mind around for anything you can think of, and in this case a ghost story, or ideas for a ghost story, seemed to come forward more than others. It's like you come into your mind, you might start thinking, oh, I'll try a comedy, but then suddenly you think, well, that might be better if it was a ghost story, or more of a drama, and it evolves that way.
And why a story, why a ghost story called Wreckers? What's it about?
It's about, I like some of the ideas come from the fact that in the old days there used to be this sort of like landlocked pirates where they would lure boats onto the rocks and then plunder the cargo, and I somehow got this idea that it would be interesting that these people were in a house that not only was haunted by a ship that had gone down, but perhaps the house itself had been built from the wood of a boat that had been lured onto the rocks by wreckers. And Wreckers has a theme you can play through. It's not always something that has happened in the past. Every now and again, you know, in people's lives, something gets destroyed, or some people are more active in trying to interfere or destroy. So the theme of wrecking was a nice one to work into the play, as well as the historical references.
And what's the difference between writing a play for the theatre versus what is your normal area of work, writing for television?
There's a huge difference, mainly in the number of scenes. If I was writing an episode of The Bill or something of my own, there could be between 60 scenes in an hour piece to 200 or 300 in a film. And when you come to write a stage play, there might be just a dozen. So it's very, very different. The discipline is very different, and I had to learn an awful lot during the process of writing it, because you know I cannot just suddenly show a scene and have a cutaway, and you know I have to think much more deeply about the tone of the scene, the structure of each individual scene, and how to make a scene go from just, you know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes at the most on television. What's been very interesting about this piece is being collaborative. Is we started with the actors, we started with the ideas. I put some of the ideas forward to the actors, and they decided which bits they thought worked, which didn't, whether they liked the general theme, and then I started to shape it into a play, and that's been very rewarding, having feedback. And being able to adjust the piece when I've seen the read-through. I rewrote quite a lot. Having seen the first performance or some of the staging, it gives me a chance to really fine-tune the story. And the other interesting thing is every word, every idea, every thought is challenged, because you know I have to justify what I've written. I have to make sense of what I've written, because I'm being asked exactly what is meant by this. So it's been a really very interesting experience. And the other very exciting thing for me is, although on television millions and millions of people will watch an episode of something that I have written, I never get to see their reaction to it. So the nice thing for me about writing a play is more people will react to my work than I have ever seen in 20 years of writing for television.
So the big question is, what reaction are you expecting? Are people going to be scared?
I hope they will be pretty tense. I think it is spooky and creepy, but I also think that it's a strong play in its own right. What I wanted to do was have a good story, regardless of it being a ghost story, but then weave the ghost story element into it that is fundamental to the story. But there is enough meat there, regardless of any spookiness.